NTAi International News.
World Bank approves $200 million agricultural loan for Nigeria. Mother's Day celebration, Dolapo Oshibaju urges mothers to inculcate right values in children as pace setters at home. ECOWAS Parliament to present resolutions of Mali National Peace Conference to plenary for action. Thanks for joining us on the news on NTAi International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Ominiudan is my name. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of an interim managing director and executive directors for Bank of Agriculture. A statement by the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development says the appointment follows the federal government's determination to reposition the Bank of Agriculture to be a more efficient and result-oriented institution. Musa Babaliu reports that this is coming as the World Bank approves $200 million agricultural loan for Nigeria.
The vision of the administration is to transform the agricultural sector and ensure easy access to funds that are needed to boost farming activities in the country. The government has therefore developed a strategy towards recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture with the support of African Development Bank.
We want to look at productivity increases, we want to look at value addition, we want to look at infrastructure deficit and how we can bridge this. We want to catalyze additional financing through different innovative financing methods.
To this end, approval has been given for the appointment of an interim managing director and executive directors for the Bank of Agriculture. The federal government and Central Bank of Nigeria concluded plans to inject 750 billion naira into the Bank of Agriculture. In another development, the World Bank has approved a $200 million loan for Nigeria to support the government's assistance to small and medium-scale farmers. The loan facility, which is on low interest rate, has a maturity of 25 years with a grace period of 5 years. The bank said about 60,000 individuals, mostly women, will benefit directly from the assistance. About 300,000 farming households will be affected indirectly. The funds will help tackle low yields, lack of seed capital to set up agro factories, low-level adoption of technology, and limited access to markets. In Abuja, Musa Aliyu, NTAi News.
Operations at the Kaduna International Airport has remained steady without hitch since it took over air transport operations from Abuja following the closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport for the reconstruction of its runway. Anthony Fosun has the update.
Since Kaduna took over air transport operation from Abuja, the airport has remained a beehive of activities, with flights landing and taking off with the usual ease and comfort.
The runway is fine, the runway is perfect. There's nothing wrong with the runway, the ILS works fine, the viewer works fine.
We have all the equipment that are international standard of flying. We have been handling IG operation here. The only thing we did when this operation is coming is to bring our next part, to calibrate our meter, calibrate our buzzer, and put all our equipment in order, including our tank.
The upgrading of the airport to cope with the volume of aircrafts and passengers alike seemed adequate.
We make sure that the ILS working, the runway clearly marked, apron clearly marked. These are the things that help in the landing and the taking off of aircraft. Because without the runway, there is no airport.
For the past 3 weeks, everything is going fine normal. No problem, flight on schedule. We are now operating about 105 flights a day.
Records show that from Thursday 9th to Friday 24th of March, a total of 1,667 flight movements were recorded, giving an average of 105 flight movements a day, while a total number of 70,466 passenger movements was recorded, also giving a daily average passenger movement of 4,404. This record was achieved with 8 domestic airlines and 1 international flight. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, and the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, visited the airport.
As a government, we put in place, to the best of our ability, arrangements that will ensure security and also guarantee safety of operations both on tarmac and off tarmac and on route.
This is only temporary, so already we are moving forward, and I assure you this would be done smoothly and in the interest of safety. So we appeal to Nigerians to bear with us. This is only temporary.
There could be challenges here and there.
The female gender. So there's a lot of emphasis on the addressing female gender issues, supporting girl child education.
Director of the center, Professor Aisha Ismail, assured that the facility will be utilized for the purpose intended.
If you come up with policies that will enhance the family, the women will benefit, their children will benefit, the husbands will benefit.
Wife of the former vice president also inaugurated a 30-room female postgraduate student hostel ensued with a toilet and kitchen that can cater for 60 students. In Kano, Ramatu Abdullahi, NTAi News.
Nigeria, no doubt, is blessed with huge cultural potentials, but harnessing it is another question entirely. In this report, correspondent NTAi Oka takes a look at the likely benefits of harnessing this sector, which experts say will play a vital role in boosting the economy.
Years after the death of Nigerian's popular Afrobeat musician Fela Anikulapo Kuti, his kind of music has continued to attract global attention. The Broadway musical entitled Fela, produced by Jay-Z, generated about $50 million and sold over 800,000 tickets. This is one of the success stories of the Nigerian creative industry, said to be diverse and rich in history.
$28 trillion worth industry, with Nigeria tapping below sub 9%, 0.9%. That is awful.
It's very good, receiving sufficient attention.
Over the years, the industry has strived to making definite statement of success. Records shows that the music and movie sectors have grown rapidly over the last 3 decades, providing employment and generating revenue. In 2009, UNESCO described Nollywood as the second biggest film industry in Nigeria after Bollywood. While the music industry is now a force to be reckoned with, the nation's fashion industry is said to be worth over 2 trillion naira. Globally, the creative industry has been growing to become increasingly important to the economy of the countries due to government support. Although Nigerian government has made efforts to support the industry, the stakeholders believe more has to be done.
Are we really ready to take on to this as the alternative revenue source? I must say that we have not seen much serious inputs. Policies need to be made in such a way that will allow the private sector, will encourage investment from the private sector.
They called for the need to have a definite roadmap carrying all the sectors along.
What we need to do in Nigeria is, one, to identify our product and to go about it by marketing it to the right people, the right stakeholder. We've got what we need.
Also, they called for more patronage of Nigerian arts by Nigerians.
The Arts and Crafts Village is a one-stop shop for most artworks in Abuja. But going around this village, one will discover that there are more traders and more goods with less buyers.
Artists find it difficult. And environmental factors must always tell in whatever we do.
Nigeria, they said, has the potential to be world power, leveraging its creative industry if harnessed. NTAi Oka, NTAi News.
This is the news on NT International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Stay tuned for more stories just after the time of the break.
Hear the call of change, stand up. Nigeria, change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah. Abuja make we go. Masikoti so let it change begin from within. Look at Chiayi, Ogeruola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with.
It was a colossal disaster in Cross River State at Oboso Mbube East Community in Abuja local government area as over 60 persons are said to have been poisoned after eating in a restaurant, with 2 deaths have confirmed. So far, Oba Hyacinth has the report.
It is
sentenced 56 people to prison terms of up to 14 years over the capsizing of a boat that killed over 200 people, one of the deadliest disasters in the Mediterranean crossing of migrants to Europe. 1 month after the boat sank, Egypt's parliament passed legislation setting prison terms and fines for those found guilty of smuggling immigrants, acting as brokers, or facilitating migrants' journey. From Hong Kong, Carrie Lam, who won an election to become the country's first female chief executive, on Sunday says her first job is to reduce social tension. She was chosen from among several candidates by a 1,200-person election committee. Ado Adamu also.
Now the sports. Nigeria Football Federation cancels Monday's Super Eagles friendly match against Burkina Faso in London. For other sporting stories that made headlines the outgone week, here's Chukwunonso Nwabueze on our Sports Roundup segment.
Hello and thanks for joining us on this week's edition of the program. As part of the overall effort to ensure sports development at the grassroots in the country, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Solomon Dalung early last week assured Nigerians of the commitment of the federal government to return school sports to its pride of place. The minister gave the assurance while receiving representatives of the organizing committee and the promoters of the 19th edition of Nigeria Polytechnic Games, NTAi, in Abuja. In a related development, Rector of the Federal Polytechnic, Nasarawa, Professor Shetima Seidu, affirmed that the preparation for the successful hosting of the event slated for April 26th to May 7th is at its completion stage.
Of course, we are hosting to win. The spirit is there. We have also really trained our contingents and they are in top shape.
More than 4,000 athletes and officials from polytechnics across the country are expected to participate in the 19th edition of NTAi. In football, coach Genos Raw over the weekend described his team's championship held in Senegal. 17-year-old Elizabeth Anyanacho again backed
NT International News, which came to you at this hour. Thanks for watching. Ominio Dunn is my name.